I'm Nathan Matheson. This is RE Radar, and today we're going to be breaking down the 7 trends that shaped the Seattle real estate market in 2025. Here on RE Radar, if you have not been here before, we are all about education, all about informing the general public and just people about real estate techniques, real estate knowledge, just anything to do with real estate. RE Radar tries to bring that forward to you guys and help you out to help you better succeed at real estate in your life, whether that's you're looking to buy your first home, you're looking to sell a home, or you're looking to get into investment properties, whatever it may be, real estate related. RE Radar is meant to be your one-stop shop for it all. So today, what we're doing is going over the 7 trends that shaped the Seattle real estate market in 2025. And I apologize if my voice is a little different, as I am still coming off of a little sickness I got over Thanksgiving. So stay with me here. But jumping right into it, this year was interesting. Not chaotic like 2023 and not frozen like early 2024. It was a year where the market, it finally took a breath. Buyers, they re-entered the chat. Sellers, well, they had to remember what pricing realistically actually meant. So let's jump right into it with just the first trend. Trend number 1 is mortgage rates. They finally eased. So rates, they finally loosened up. And I'm not saying they dropped off a cliff because, well, they didn't. But what happened was they slowly went down and they just slowly eased down far enough to where buyers stopped stressing nonstop every night over what mortgage rates were and understood that, okay, it's time to start shopping around for a house. Rates, what did they get to? Well, they got down below 6.5%, even got as low as 6.1% at times. So it's not like it was a 2% drop or anything insane like that. But what mattered most was that psychology. Once the buyers saw that rates were getting below 7% and trending downwards, even just a little bit, the mindset shifted for them from, I guess we're going to be renting forever, to, okay, we might as well go out there and look at a few homes while we have the chance on the weekends or whatever it may be. And I think that this trend will continue in 2026 as interest rates, in my opinion, are going to just slowly but surely inch their way down. And 2026, we'll see them hang around maybe the 5% high 5% range at times. And with the rates that we saw in that mid 6%, low 6% range, showing activity picked up, lenders got more calls, buyers regained that confidence a little bit. See, rates didn't have to fall a ton. Everybody knows we're never going to see 3% rates again, or at least we probably shouldn't. They just need to stop rising and get out of that 7% range. And then buyers, they felt more comfortable, they understood the market better, and decided, okay, it's go time. Now, the next trend is that inventory rose, but not quite enough to create a true buyer's market or anything like that in Seattle. Now, with those rising inventories, it created what I believe was a much healthier market out there, a much healthier real estate market. We needed more homes, buyers needed more choices, and in 2025, that's what we got. But this is important. Keep this in mind. We still did not cross that magic line of a true buyer's market. Still in a seller's market, but it's closer to a more even market. Even though we did see the most homes on the market in Seattle in over 10 years, but no buyer's market. As well, Seattle is just structurally undersupplied and is going to be a seller's market nearly every single year unless something absolutely obscene happens. You've got the zoning here where it was traditionally all single family zoning with very little multifamily zoning. So you've got built in just pockets of pure single family areas, not enough condo complexes really, aside from downtown Seattle, which of course is not a popular area at the moment. And you've got the geography with Puget Sound, Mount Rainier, the mountains. All that makes it so it's constrained in where you can build with regulations for builders and just all this, and then job growth of Seattle with people wanting to come here, wanting to move here. You're bringing all these people in, and well, the supply is just undersupplied always in Seattle. So it's hard to get to a buyer's market here. Now, we got more listings, like I'm touching on, that's the point. We got more listings here in 2025 in Seattle than we had seen. Now, don't worry though, with all those new listings we got, all the more inventory, more homes for sale, it was not too many to the point where it drove down the price of real estate in Seattle. Pricing in Seattle stayed strong. It wasn't some crazy market where a bunch of homes came on and nobody bought them and they all just dropped in price. So buyers gained a little bit of breathing room with more homes out there, but pricing, of course, stayed high, so that didn't help them too much. And that then gave sellers still a little bit of leverage. So everybody just chilled out a little bit in terms of, we got more homes out there on the market. So buyers, what did they have? Well, they had more options, more availability to look at things and figuring out what they really wanted. Whereas for sellers, well, yes, more inventory is out there, but pricing for a seller stayed strong to where they could be happy with what they sell their home for. All right, so the third trend I got is that days on market, it went up. And honestly, that's a little bit of a good thing. There was a stretch of years where if a home didn't sell by Sunday night, Monday morning, the sellers were freaking out like, what the heck's wrong with my home? Why didn't it sell first weekend? But in 2025, it returned us to a normal, more balanced, in rhythm market. Even well-presented homes that were move-in ready, they sometimes needed 10, 14, even 20 days on the market to find the right buyer. Median days on market in Seattle for just residential homes, so not looking at condos, was 15 days. So just over 2 weeks, not bad at all. Buyers really like this, as this gives them a little bit of time to think and breathe about this massive purchase instead of just having to go and rush into things. Sellers, well, sellers had to adjust to it. Obviously, a seller wants to sell right away. The panic is gone. The patience is back on the real estate market 2025. Now, the fourth trend I got for you guys is price reductions became a little more common. We saw those more often. This wasn't because the market was crashing or anything crazy like that. It wasn't. It was because some sellers, they walked into 2025 with pricing dreams that did not meet the data at all. Sellers that maybe bought in 2022 their home when it was crazy, they probably paid 120% or some crazy number above list price. Like for a $700,000 home, maybe they paid $950,000 then for it. So fast forward to 2025, unfortunately, what they did was they bought that house at the peak of the market, and now the market's not at the peak anymore. Real estate goes in cycles. So right now, 2025 was a little lower on the cycle range, not the peak like 2022. And what happens when you try to sell that quickly, the market's cooled off, and that home, it simply wasn't worth that much money anymore because they overpaid for it originally. And now what's it valued at? Maybe what they paid for it in 2022, that above list number, or maybe it's slightly more and you can sell it for slightly more. But then, of course, remember, all the fees and all that makes it so these sellers, they're selling at a loss, and no seller wants to do that. But sometimes you have to move, and so you just got to sell your home. Sometimes the data is not going to be what a seller wants, and they'll just list it above what that data says, just hoping they get someone, and then they don't get someone. And what happens then? That home sits on the market for weeks and weeks, and eventually a reduction in price has to come in order for it to try to garner some interest from buyers. Sellers have to show that they're being realistic. And when these homes came onto the market and when they were overpriced, what did buyers do? Well, they were realistic because there was more inventory. So they were just like, I don't care about it. Let's move on to the next one. Or maybe they waited for it. Maybe they sent in a low ball offer. Seller scoffs at it, passes on it. And then eventually seller decides, 2 months later, all right, we're going to lower the price. But remember, that doesn't always then help. I can get into this in later episodes where if you don't price it right away, sometimes when you do these seller reductions in price, it's not going to help still because people start seeing that as a red stain on a listing. So with this idea of seller reductions in pricing and just the idea of buyers and sellers having to do a little more negotiating back and forth, perhaps finding the middle ground more often versus buyers coming in above list price always and sellers getting all that they want and more. The middle ground had to be found. And I think, honestly, that's a little bit of a healthier real estate market right there. Now, trend number 5 is an important one for any homeowner thinking about selling. And that is that the homes that performed best in 2025 were the ones that were move-in ready. They were the ones that were prepped before listing. Buyers did not want projects this year. They wanted move-in ready homes. Ready, clean, updated, staged, well-lit, and good smelling homes. They want that turnkey, not future potential home, That was what I was seeing consistently at my open houses. I was always hearing people say, well, I don't know about this. I'm going to have to pass on this house because the kitchen, I won't want to cook in the kitchen. It needs to be updated. Or a bathroom is outdated. I don't want this house. I'm going to look for a different one. They weren't willing to do these upgrades themselves. They wanted, and now I'm being a little general here, but it was a common thing I heard. There were more buyers out there looking for more move-in ready homes than buyers looking for potential deals and ways to improve the value of the home themselves. So the homes that had the fresh paint, the updated fixtures, clean floors, good staging, and just presented well for buyers, those were the difference maker homes. Those were the homes that sold quicker. And the gap in final sale price between a nicely prepped and a just throw it on the market widens every single year in real estate, I feel. Now, next trend we're going to get into is the motivated buyers, the serious buyers out there, they returned to the market. They were back. People were actually looking to buy in 2025. These were the folks that kind of spent 2023 and 2024 just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for mortgage to hit that sweet spot, waiting for inventory to appear, waiting for the chaos of the COVID market to disappear completely. And this year, they got just enough clarity to jump back into the market. They weren't just looky-loos coming through open houses saying, maybe we'll buy, maybe I don't know. They were people who were prepared, educated, pre-approved buyers who were ready to make a move, and their return to the market really kept the wheels of this real estate market in Seattle turning. Now, final trend for you guys, trend number 7 is townhomes and condos. Well, they struggled. Prices for those, they softened. Median sale price in January 2025 for Seattle condos was $650,000. In May, down to $570,000 was the median sale price. And in November, down to $542,000 for the median sold price. That's about $100,000 difference in 11 months. Days on market for condos also stretched like a winter sunset. They hit 30 days in September. Some listings, well, they just sat waiting for 200, 300, 400 plus days. There's some condos in downtown Seattle on the market for. So that Seattle downtown condo market, it is quite a slow market to say the least. So there was more inventory though, as condos were coming onto the market. They just sit and sit and sit. Fewer bidding wars in condos, and buyers were much more selective because, well, condos, they are a unique purchase in their own right, with you're buying into a building essentially with the HOAs and all that. So you have to be cautious with that. And buyers were, and rightfully so. Affordability for condos. People say condos are more affordable. Well, it can pull some people towards a condo, but then keep in mind, condos also come with HOAs, and those can then make them not affordable. So condos are a big bag of all sorts of things, which I think I've done some episodes on condos, but one thing I will do is a little more dives into condos come early 2026. Now, for a buyer, though, that's looking for a deal, townhomes and condos, they were quietly the best opportunity of 2025, as you can really negotiate, really get that seller down to a lower price, get some concessions, and get some help in buying maybe your first home. So that's one of the benefits for this super slow condo and townhome market in 2025. So those are the 7 biggest trends that define the Seattle real estate market in 2025. Easing rates, rising inventory, longer days on market, more price reductions, the return of the prep and presentation, motivated buyers re-entering the market, and just a softer, weaker condo townhome section. The headline is simple. 2025, it wasn't a dramatic year. It was kind of a resetting year, getting back to the normal of pre-COVID. And those are the years where the smart buyers and sellers win big, because they're not just reacting to chaos. They're not just going wild out there. They're thinking, they're smart out there. They're reacting to opportunities, perhaps. So if you ever want to talk about how these trends impact your goals personally as a buyer, seller, or investor, whatever it may be, reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help. Thanks for tuning in to RE Radar. I'm Nathan Matheson. See you next week. Peace.